Roundtable discussion, and it's all about Ozempic, the weight loss drug, which is making waves, and it's been doing that for the last few months. But is it really the miracle that some have hyped it up to be? Side effects such as hair loss, eating disorders, right, I'm bald under here, so it's fine. No, I'm not really. Eating disorders, even psychiatric episodes have all been reported, and this comes as diabetics are struggling to get their hands on it for prescriptions. So is Ozempic really safe? Well, joining me now is Dr. Rennie Hondenkamp, GP and medical writer, Lizzie Cundy, broadcaster and columnist, and George Keywood, actor and body positivity influencer. But I'm going to start with you, Rennie. Rennie, I feel like I'm on an hello. Rennie. So what do you think about this Ozempic? Is it safe, and is it a useful drug?
Right. So, first of all, it's a very useful drug for people that have diabetes, and that's where it should stay. So in terms of safety, not only the things that you've mentioned are being reported now, psychosis in some patients, hair loss, but there are known side effects already, as there are with any drug, let's face it. So we know that most people on it will get gastrointestinal disturbance, which hopefully will settle, but diarrhoea, vomiting, nausea. Thereafter, there's a chance of pancreatitis, about 1 in 100, which I think is quite high. Now, once you've had pancreatitis, you are at an increased risk for about 3 years of having pancreatic cancer. So you're at an increased risk for that, which is a deadly cancer. There is an association with thyroid cancer. In the mice it was given to, they got thyroid cancer. And there are various other things as well. So, firstly, no, and it gives you between a 5 and a 20% weight loss over 68 months. But the moment you stop taking it, your appetite returns and you will put that weight back on. So it's then a lifelong drug. So you're going to be on a drug that has risks of cancer and other risks for life. The only people that are happy about this, or should be happy about it, are the big pharma companies. Why does anyone think they are putting such effort into research in drugs for weight loss? Because the biggest problem we have now is obesity, and for them it's a cash cow.
George, what are your thoughts on it? Because Ozempic, this could be a useful drug for maybe somebody in your position who wants to lose weight.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's disappointing because for plus-size people who are desperate to receive that drug to help them with their weight loss journey, they're not getting it because people who have money to spend and waste are just sourcing it from elsewhere. And you know, we've got people that are now having eating disorders from this drug as well, so it's kind of doing the opposite effect of what it was intended for. So it's quite sad, you know, for a plus-size person who would benefit from this. It's disappointing to see that it's going to the wrong type of people.
Would you like to be taking it?
I mean, me in particular, I probably wouldn't want to. You know, I say if you can't do it yourself, then it's probably best not to do it.
But I mean, it could be life-saving for people who should be taking it.
Yeah, I mean, people in a really dangerous situation in terms of their health, then by all means take anything that will improve your health. But, you know, you can still do it yourself if you're young. You know, I'm only 30 years old now, so I still got a bit of time in me to really do it myself. I've got a treadmill at home. I do 60 minutes a day. I've lost 8.5 stone in a year.
Wow.
You know, I used to be a big boy. I'm big now.
Just how big were you?
Well, 30 plus stone.
Wow.
You know, and I'm now under that.
How did you get to that? Was it simply just eating a bad diet?
I think it's a mixture of various things. You know, my dad died, you know, when I was only 21 years old. Like, there's various different things throughout my life what sort of put me in that situation. You know, acting careers go up and down.
Yeah, you're an actor.
It's a tough industry, you know, so I think there's many things where even when you're doing really well, you're stuffing your face because you've got lots of money in the bank and you're going wild, you know. It's a really hard balance, you know, because you've got to eat to live.
Lizzie Cundy, like, you know, lots of celebrities are on this drug. Oprah has just now apologised publicly for, you know, pretty much swindling us all by making out that she's losing weight through diet and exercise when it turns out that she was using all sorts of things.
Well, Oprah, I'm really shocked at, because for me, she was a role model, someone I looked up growing up, and this is a really toxic role model because this drug is dangerous and it's addictive, and sadly, there are many of the stars out there that, you know, kids really look up to, you know, that are using this and want to be slim like them. We saw Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala with this tiny little waist. You know, she's apparently on it, Robbie Williams, Sharon Osbourne, Jessica Simpson. And when you look at them, sadly, they do not look well. And I've many friends in showbiz world that are on this drug and now can't get off it because they are scared. As soon as they get off this drug, they're going to put the weight back on. And sadly, as Renee's just said, it's dangerous, it's not good for your body. My friend had terrible symptoms of sickness, hair was coming out. She actually lost her bottom. She had to sit on a rubber ring and cushion because her bones were actually sticking out. And you don't know where it kind of, you want to lose fat maybe on your tummy, it will go on places you don't want, you know, mainly on your face.
We've
and
seen
it
the
ages
Ozempic
you.
face, yeah. But you yourself had an eating disorder, which
I've been very open about, as a teenager, I had an eating disorder, and I think if I could probably have got my hands on this drug, I would have taken it. And that is the worry. There are many people out there, many of my friends that are taking this drug and should not be on it.
Well, listen, I want to go over to Steve Miller from Fat Families. I used to love that show.
Oh, yes.
or The Secret Eaters, which is another one that he used to do. I love that. The people say, I don't know why I've got so fat. What have I been doing? The camera sort of follows them around and watches them chucking sweet wrappers and food as they stuff their face. I loved it. Steve Miller, he joins us now. Steve.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, tremendous. It just seems like we're all going to agree on this debate.
Yeah.
And everything isn't it interesting that everything's about having a prick these days? You know, it's all about injections and jabs. No, and but the one thing I have to say is on their website, they actually make it clear that it's not a weight loss drug. To be fair to them, they make it clear it's all about diabetes, helping people with diabetes. So you know, I give them a credit there. But what they also do is they're transparent and say that, you know, they're unsure whether it could cause and trigger cancers. They're unsure, you know, in terms of how much weight you can lose. Up to 14 pounds seems to be what they claim. So I think we do have to be careful. There are other serious potential side effects that the doctor, Renee, has outlined, you know, from kidney problems, kidney failure, gallbladder problems. And then when I read about tumours and I read about cancers. Now, you're right, the doc's right in that, you know, all drugs have potential side effects. So we have to use a bit of common sense. My common sense, based on what I've read in the press and what I've read from Ozempic, says this is a last resort.
It's
and
a
the
last
best way
resort.
the best way to do it is eat more fresh air, love yourself more than you love a trifle, try and, you know, turn your back on the pork pie and get yourself more, you know, feed your mind rather than your mush.
Well,
that's what we should be doing.
Well, it's true. Thank you very much to Steve Miller there, Fat Families. Very wise words from Steve. Now, Renee, the other thing that they were linking obesity with was cancer.
Yeah.
And recently a report said that at least 50%, was it?
Yeah.
About 50% of cancers are partially down to, or there's some...
So this is because when you are overweight, your body's in a constant state of inflammation. So you're already fighting that. So it becomes less easy to fight other things that your immune system would normally get on top of. And I think that the message that I would also like to say, and you might agree with me on this, it's not as simple as just cutting out your food. You need to change your food. People need to stop eating processed food, because I believe that the evil in society that has led these people here, so it's not really even their fault, is that processed food is everywhere, almost everything. So we need to be going back to cooking ourselves from fresh ingredients, obviously eating less and getting out more. But until we crack this reliance that we have, 60% of the average British diet is processed, and for some people it's 80%. We will not crack the obesity problem.
Do you eat a lot of processed food?
Yeah,
You
probably.
do. I can see the admission coming. I can
I
see
think we
it.
all do, though, you know.
I don't.
I mean,
I really don't. No, I genuinely don't.
Well, maybe I do. I mean, I think it's a very difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I think it's down to portion size as well. Because if you just cut down, like that's what I've been doing. I've just been having miniature cans of Coca-Cola instead of, you know,
Don't drink
full-size
the Coca-Cola.
ones.
I don't.
I know.
I don't. Actually, if I do drink Coca-Cola, I'll drink the proper fat one, because I don't like. I don't like saccharin and all
But
the
this is the same
other
with
things.
me, but
I think they are triggers for neurological disorders. I also think they're triggers for affecting the way you metabolize food. I don't think they're very sensible, and your body wants sugar after you've eaten it because it thinks it's sugar and it isn't.
I mean, it's an addiction, isn't it? Food is an addiction.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely
and I
is.
think this is the issue, isn't it? It's trying to stop yourself from doing something that you want to do, and it's trying to stop yourself from doing something that you have to do. And it's about picking the right things. But I think sometimes it's down to your financial situation that puts you in that situation as well, because you don't have enough money to go and buy nice food.
that is good, though.
No, I think it's a bit of a myth, because if I buy a chicken and cook it in the week, it will last my daughter's school lunch for the entire week with some rice. You can
I was going to say, you're not giving it to the bread. Is it wholemeal rice?
We don't have bread.
Is it wholemeal rice?
Basmati, which is as good as...
Oh, nice. We're coming over to Renee's for tea, I think.
So I cook everything, but it does take organisation. But once you're into the pattern, it's really easy. But I think people are just led by... Please don't underestimate the power of the sugar industry, the power of the advertising industry to lead people where they want them to be.
And I actually think on fast foods, it should say, like on cigarettes, what the harm it does for you. And I think exercise, sports, kids don't do enough anymore. They're sitting there on their PlayStations, just easily snacking away. And parents need to have a really big responsibility. But also we need to look at the psychological reasons why people want this drug. Because, sadly, people that are on it, some of my friends are so depressed, suicidal thoughts. What it's doing to you mentally, not just physically, is so damaging. And those that are, you know, giving this drug out are really irresponsible. And it's a really big worry.
It's weird, though, because Sharon Osbourne wasn't particularly fat anyway.
No.
So she didn't really need to do that. I mean, she wasn't obese, was she? She wasn't...
No.
There's nothing... And now I can see that she kind of regrets it in a way because she can't put the fat back on no matter what she eats. And that's very frightening.
But sadly, once you're on this drug, you really can't get off. It's addictive, and that's the worry. And then in your head, you're thinking, as soon as I go off it, I'm going to start eating again and put on the weight. It's a vicious circle.
Do you know, I would even say that if we're going to spend money in the NHS on helping people who are overweight, I would much prefer that they had bariatric surgery, because that is a lifelong solution. And it's not one that has the side effects of this drug. Yes, it has some surgical side effects at the time, but once you're past it, that's it.
But can't you get yourself... but then would you consider bariatric surgery? Is that the way
I've been offered by 2 surgeons for free, actually. But I think the thing what's stopping me is the risk, you know, or you could die from it. You know, it is a serious operation to have. And I think in the right country, maybe yes, but in some countries, maybe not a great idea. I've heard recently that someone died in Turkey from having the operation.
But don't go to Turkey.
No, I know, but, you know, a lot of people will.
The country should be a clue there. You see turkey teeth? I don't like teeth. I think
they're pretty bad. I'd rather keep my teeth, to be honest.
People are going to die from their obesity.
It's
so it is weighing up the long-term risk of that. And also, it gives... I've seen a patient lose 12 stone after bariatric surgery, and she said to me, I've got my life back.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, some people don't know what their life is, though, do they? It's like giving them a new life. But
we need to help more on the mental health front. That's
a key point as well.
Before giving out drugs willy-nilly.
Yeah, well, listen, and we don't want Ozempic face as well. A lot of them have got